Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. All I'm going to say is I'm sorry it's been so damn long again since I haven't done a video. I know it's only been like a week, but I had got into my whole like 2 videos a week kind of vibe, and that's kind of gone out the window. It's only 2 weeks before uni. I'm going to give you a life update and everything as to what's going on at the minute because it has been a bit crazy at the end of this video, but for anyone that's just looking for the workout, I'm going to get straight into the footage for this first, and then if you're interested in my crazy but kind of boring life, then stick around till the end. So what I'm going to be taking you guys through today is the exercises that I think have improved the look of that area over time. Obviously, one thing to remember is I haven't got rid of that kind of dip or whatever you like to call it in that area completely. I was aware and conscious of it about 2 years ago or so when I started comparing myself to people on Instagram, which is a bad move, but a move that everyone probably does. Then through kind of training and things like that, where I've built up other areas like my quads, my legs and stuff, I'm actually going to quite like that area and I'm not bothered by it anymore. But since so many of you have come to me and asked me what kind of exercises and things improve that area, I'm going to be doing that today. So I'm going to insert a quick clip now of how I reduce my hip dips in a matter of seconds. Now this is only by pointing my toes out. All it does is like a hip abduction, so it manipulates the muscle, the glute, to push out in that area and it fills that area up. So all I'm kind of proving here is not to be too disheartened on Instagram when you see pictures of people and they look like perfectly shaped or whatever. Chances are they're posing. They may not be reducing their hip dips by posing, but they might be flexing or twisting at an angle and making themselves look better. So you have to understand that reality, that Instagram is very much a feed of people looking their best, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just something to take into consideration. So what I want to say is I've definitely still got them. I've definitely reduced them. Top 3 things that have reduced them is probably more food, so I've gained a bit more fat in that area. Obviously exercise, and 3, I would say my posing skills, like on Instagram and certain things. If I wanted to get a perfectly round bum from the behind, I'd probably just point my toes out a little bit more, which is what bikini girls do on stage as well for their shows. You'll notice they point their toes out, arch their back and push their butt back, and it gives that really nice like round formed glute. So 3 things to bear in mind. Let's get into the workout. So the first exercise we're going to start with, and probably the key exercise that I like to do in the gym that I really feel targets this area, is using the hip abduction machine. You can use alternatives for this. You can just sit on a bench and have a resistance band and do the same kind of movement, the abduction movement that I'm doing that you can see here. However, this machine allows you to keep loading up the weight. So when a weight gets too easy for you, you can definitely increase the weight and use progressive overload to really build this area. There's several different types of ways that you can do this, and it's dependent on your anatomy as to what works best. As you can see here, I'm now sitting and doing the abduction machine, and then here moving back and sitting back into the exercise and pushing here. So there's 3 different ways of doing this, and just depending on you, just work it out for yourself which you can feel the better contraction in for the size of your glutes. So the second exercise, you probably shouldn't make eye contact with anyone doing it because it's a little bit awkward, but this exercise is called frog pumps. So you can see here I've got my feet pushed together, I've got a band around my knees. You don't need to use the band if you're just starting out. I'm just adding a little bit of an extra resistance to this, and then I'm doing basically hip thrusts on the floor, and with that foot placement it just really allows a strong contraction in the sides of the glutes, which I find really works well. So one thing to remember with this exercise is always keep your knees out. So when you're pushing up and contracting at the top of the exercise, keep pushing your knees out, and when you're letting back down again and going back through the movement, keep pushing your knees out, as this will engage throughout the whole range of movement the side of your glutes. So the next exercise I'm going to be moving on to is cable hip abductions. Again, you can just use a resistance band instead of the cable if you don't have one. However, I do find the cable machine just allows you a larger range of motion. You can see here where I'm touching the side of my glute. That's where you're really going to feel the burn. Keep it light, keep the weight relatively light. You want to be doing at least 10 to 15 reps for this exercise. You'll also feel it in the other side of your glutes as well, because that leg is going to be grounding you. That leg is going to be static throughout the whole entire range of movement. So you're going to feel it in both sides. Just remember to keep your spine neutral throughout the whole range of motion so you don't get any pain in your lower back. So moving on to the next exercise, which is going to be fire hydrants. A lot of you guys told me in one of my previous videos that it's called this because it's supposed to look like a dog peeing on a post, which kind of makes sense to be honest, but I had no idea. So I'm using a resistance band again here. You don't have to use that if you're just starting out, but simply it's almost the same kind of movement as the standing up cable hip abduction. So I'm hinging the leg out again, and you'll see my glute kind of bulging at the top of the range of movement, and that's where you're going to really feel the burn. Again, you're going to feel it in the other leg or the other glute as well, because that is going to be the static leg that's grounding you throughout the whole entire range of movement. So moving on into side lunges. What you're going to be doing in this exercise is stepping out to the side. You're going to be using a fairly wide stance, and you're going to be controlling the movement throughout the whole range. So you're not just stepping out and falling into the lunge. I want you to step out and control the weight down until you feel a contraction in your glutes, and then explosively press back up again. Again, even though I'm using a weight here, not a resistance band, I'm still keeping my rep range high. In all of these movements, you want to keep your rep range high, as you want to be using it for hypertrophy rather than strength. Hypertrophy and volume is what's going to build the muscle. So moving on into another variation of a hip abduction, I'm doing a side plank, if you like, with a straight leg hip abduction. Again, I'm using a resistance band here and just making sure that I pulse out and control the movement throughout again. So I'm not just letting the leg fall back down again onto the floor. I'm controlling the motion on the way up and the way down to get the most out of the exercise. So moving into the last exercise that I've got for you guys, it's going to be what's called curtsy lunges. So this is just another great variation of a lunge to hit the outer glute area. If you don't know what a curtsy is and it doesn't really make sense, look it up on YouTube. But it's basically when you place a leg back and then diagonally to the side of you, and what that's going to be doing is hitting the outer glute of the leg that's still static in front of you. And it's just another great variation to hit that area. Okay guys, so we are back. I did my workout, basically I shot those clips for you guys, and obviously I did my commentary and stuff, which I've got on later, and then I did my whole workout. I had a leg day workout to do, which was quads and hamstrings. After doing that, so I spent about 2.5 hours at the gym and I'm absolutely knackered now. I don't know, I had this situation in the gym, right, and I don't know what your guys' opinions on it, but I don't know if you've ever come across, like, when you're working out, there's somebody at the gym there and their form, like, isn't quite correct, and you know, you just want them to get the most out of what they're doing, and you don't obviously want other people to, like, because some people just like laugh at other people that are doing stuff wrong in the gym, and they won't go up to them and like tell them that they're doing something wrong and help them. And I find that really cowardly and wrong, because we all started somewhere when we entered the gym. We all had no idea what we were doing when we started. Some of us were lucky to have personal trainers, and others just had to kind of work it out for ourselves. So there was this girl there, and she was doing lat pull downs, and she kind of was just pulling it down in front of her rather than engaging her lats. And I was in this predicament, like I wanted to go up to her and tell her, and then another part of me was just like, she's gonna think like I'm just a bitch, basically. There's no other way of saying it, like, oh, this girl came up to me and corrected me, like, I bet she's not even a personal trainer or whatever, which I'm not a personal trainer. I like to think I've got a certain amount of experience to correct somebody's form, and like, if I can help, I will do. I don't know, like, if somebody came up to you in the gym, and like, I mean, some of you guys might be like 2-3 years into training and not need that, but if you, when you were new, for instance, or if you're new, if somebody comes up to you and corrects you in terms of your form or how you're lifting it or whatever, would you be offended, or would you kind of take it on? Like, I really loved when people came up to me and told me how I was doing something wrong and helped me at the gym, because it helped me progress. However, there was 2 instances where somebody came up to me and basically was just a bit like of a dick about it. I'm not going to mince my words, and basically was just like, you're doing this completely wrong, you're lifting too much weight, and just the way he kind of went about it just made me feel really shit, and I left the gym feeling embarrassed and paranoid the next time I came to train. So there's so many ways of going about it, but I'm just wondering what your guys' opinions on it, because I don't know, like, I would be happy to, but only if somebody kind of went about it in a really pleasant way. So I helped her anyway. She was really thankful for it, which was great, and like didn't seem offended and stuff. Like, I have offended somebody before, and I tried to be so nice, and it was a guy, and I think there's just this kind of like this block between, if you're a girl helping a girl out, it's okay, and if you're a guy helping a guy, usually okay, but if it's a girl helping a guy, that's when it starts to get, like, I get it, there shouldn't be that kind of weird element, but there is, and that's just what it is. Like, he was like 6 foot something, I'm like 5'2", but he was lifting like way too much weight for squatting. He wasn't even getting parallel, his back was like caving in, his neck was caving in because the bar was on his neck, not on his traps, and it was just cringing me out. Like, I wasn't worried really, obviously I was worried about his form, but I was more worried about him hurting himself, and that's the main element. If somebody's pushing a lot of weight and they can't hack that weight and their form is severe, like, they're gonna injure themselves, and I really don't want to see anyone hurt themselves. So that was my kind of like predicament and spiel. So yeah, I was actually going to talk to you guys and update you about my life scenario, but I've kind of battered on about that. So if you've made it this far in the video, bless you, thank you. I'll give you a quick update. I won't keep you too long. Basically, I'm going back to uni in 2 weeks, and I'm kind of anxious about it. I've kind of settled back down here at my family home for the last 4 months, and kind of gotten back in contact with like friends and around here, and like obviously my boyfriend, I got to see him a lot more, and now I've got to think about going again. Like, literally first year uni, I was up at Shropshire, came back for the whole summer, settled again, went off again for second year. Third year I was in Hereford, made some amazing friends in Hereford, and then had to come back here again, and I settled, and now I've got to think about going back to Shropshire, and only for a year, and then I come back again, and I don't know where I'm going to live. So I'm getting really like anxious, and it's my 4th year as well, and I really want to make a good go of it, but at the same time, just, man, I'm so sick of like moving about and changing places and situations and losing contact with people, because it is so hard to keep in contact with like so many people in different parts of the UK. Like, it's rubbish, and it upsets me, and that's what's kind of going through my head at the minute. Like, I don't want to go back, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I don't know, I enjoy marketing, which is my course, but at the same time, the marketing they teach is so outdated, and you'll find this in so many universities, that it's just a very old way of looking at it, very outdated, and there's no kind of social media real input. There's a few bits about it, but not a lot, and I love social media, and if I was to get a job in a year's time, it'd be social media marketing. So combined with the fact that I don't want to move, I've got to think about carrying on with a course that doesn't really fulfill me or make me happy in any way, and just the whole thing is just crap, basically. Yeah, not really much else to say on that. So that's kind of my life at the minute. 2 weeks left, and me kind of just like desperately trying to grab back as much time as possible before I think about going again. Like, I really don't want to go. That's that. So I'll try and do a few more vlogs and videos. Obviously me and Jack's video is coming up soon, and I'll try and do as much as I can while I go through uni, but obviously got you guys, I know you understand as well, like with my degree and everything and doing my dissertation, I'm going to be real pressed for time, so I'll do as much as I can. I'm sorry if the content isn't going to be as interesting as it normally is. Please stick it out for the long run with me. I love you guys, and thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video, hopefully soon. Bye.